एनाटॉमी के इस नए टॉपिक में हम बात करने जा रहे हैं कैरोटिड शीथ के बारे में। कैरोटिड शीथ किस स्ट्रक्चर से फॉर्मेशन होता है इसका, और कौन कौन से स्ट्रक्चर इसमें कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं, व्हाट आर द स्ट्रक्चर्स प्रेजेंट इनसाइड द कैरोटिड शीथ, व्हाट आर द स्ट्रक्चर्स प्रेजेंट आउटसाइड द कैरोटिड शीथ। तो इन सब के बारे में बात करेंगे हम। कैरोटिड शीथ जो फॉर्मेशन होता है वो हमारे नेक रीजन में होता है। ये नॉर्मली मेनली 3 टाइप की फेसिया से कंट्रीब्यूट होके फॉर्मेशन होता है इसका। व्हाट आर दीज 3 फेसियास? फर्स्ट वन इज द प्री ट्रैकियल फेसिया, another one is the pre-vertebral fascia, and third one is the investing layer of the deep fascia। ये तीनों फेसिया से मिलके कैरोटिड शीथ का फॉर्मेशन होता है। तो सबसे पहली बात करते हैं फेसिया क्या होता है। इट इज़ द connective tissue. It is formed by the connective tissue. Fascia are dense connective tissue for structure, dense connective tissue structure that form the fascia, and they are mainly able to protect the internal vessels, or we can say that neurovascular bundle. These fascias are normally contain the neurovascular bundle. Neurovascular bundle means the vessels are present with the nerve, that together is called as a neurovascular bundle. So coming on the area of the neck, this is the whole area of the neck. This is the transverse section of the neck, TS of the neck. Here we are able to see that in the this is the anterior side, this is the transverse section of the neck, and both sides this structure is present. That is the internal structures of the carotid sheath. This is the carotid sheath structures present. And what are they for surrounded by? These are surrounded by, first one, this is from the lateral side, it is the investing layer of the deep fascia. Investing layer of deep fascia present lateral side and surround the laterally to the carotid sheath. Carotid sheath is present in the transverse section. I am showing you the transverse section of the neck. This is the transverse section of the neck. Here is the lateral side of the carotid sheath, and so lateral side of the carotid sheath is lined and covered by investing layer, pre-investing layer of the deep fascia. Now after that, it is the anterior side. Anteriorly there is trachea and esophagus. So pretracheal fascia. Pretracheal fascia is surrounded the trachea as well as esophagus, and in the region of the pharynx, this pretracheal fascia get more thickening. This more thickened pretracheal fascia is known as the buccopharyngeal fascia. Buccopharyngeal fascia is none other than the extension and thickening of the pretracheal fascia. So, and where it is present? It is present in the pharynx region. Buccopharyngeal membrane, it is made by the buccopharyngeal membrane, buccopharyngeal fascia. Now it is the anterior side of the pretracheal fascia. This anterior side of the carotid sheath is surrounded and covered by the pretracheal fascia, while posterior side or the floor, posterior side of the posterior side is surrounded by the prevertebral fascia. What prevertebral fascia? This is the prevertebral fascia. It is surrounded the whole vertebrae, paravertebral muscles and paravertebral region. This is they are the paravertebral muscles, like as different muscles that are like as spinalis intercostal and the spinalis intermedius. These are all muscles are surrounded by the prevertebral fascia. This is prevertebral fascia, and this extension of the prevertebral fascia covers posteriorly carotid sheath. Now after that, this is the sternocleidomastoid. This is the roof of the posterior triangle of the neck. Roof, this one is forming the roof, while vertebral region or the prevertebral fascia form the floor of the posterior triangle of the neck. Roof and floor, you can understand like this. This is the roof, above is roof and below is the floor. So floor is formed by the prevertebral layer and roof is formed by the mainly 2 muscles, sternocleidomastoid and trapezius. Trapezius is more superficially and laterally present in the posterior triangle of the neck, While sternocleidomastoid, it is the example of cruciate muscle that is beginning from the upper. This sternocleidomastoid is beginning from the medial side of the clavicle, medial half of the clavicle, and inserted in the neck region. So this sternocleidomastoid is formed sternocleidomastoid together with the trapezius, forming the roof of the posterior triangle of the neck, while floor of the posterior triangle of neck is formed by the prevertebral fascia. So this is the posterior side is covered by the prevertebral fascia, anterior side is covered by the pretracheal fascia, and lateral side is covered by the investing layer of the deep fascia. Now coming on the what are the structures present inside the carotid sheath. This is the this is the topic that get confused many times. So we are going to clear that. This is the internal carotid artery, that is the continuation of common carotid artery. Where it is bifurcated? Common carotid artery is bifurcated at the level of superior border of the thyroid cartilage. Where superior border of thyroid cartilage is present? Actually, the larynx is present in the adult C3 to C6 level. Skeletotopy of the larynx is normally C3 to C6. So upper border of the thyroid cartilage is present above the upper part of the larynx. So that means the superior border of thyroid cartilage lies at the C3 level. So common carotid artery bifurcate at the level of C3. And what are the structures present at this bifurcation? Suppose this is the structures. Here this is the common carotid artery, and it is the internal carotid and external carotid, and this is the triangle. This is called the carotid triangle. Here carotid sinus and carotid body is present that have the chemoreceptors for the respiration. That is the another topic that we have to discuss in the physiology. But here the structures present, this is medially in the carotid sheath, medially internal carotid artery is present. You all know that arteries are present deeply as comparison to the veins. So it is the vein. Which vein is this? Internal jugular vein, that is coming from this sigmoid sinus. So this is the internal jugular vein coming from the jugular foramen, and this is the internal carotid artery, continuation of the common carotid artery. And between these two, you all are able to see that this is the anterior boundary of the common carotid artery. This is the lateral boundary of the common carotid artery. This is the medial boundary of common carotid artery, and this is the posterior side of the common carotid artery. So anterior boundary have the two structures like two bodies are present. This is the ansa cervicalis. Anterior fibers of the cervical ganglion. This is the ansa cervicalis. C3, C1, C2, C3. This is the ansa cervicalis, and C4 also, half of the C4 fibers also contributing in the ansa cervicalis formation. These are present in the outside the common carotid sheath. You all are able to hear. But close to the common carotid sheath, anterior boundary, and outside the common carotid sheath. Structures lying inside the common carotid sheath are only medially, it is the internal carotid artery. Laterally, it is the internal jugular vein, and between these two, you all are able to hear. This is the neurovascular bundle, because it is the vessel, it is the vein, it is the artery, and it is the nerve. Which nerve is this? Vagus nerve. Which nerve is this? Vagus nerve. Vagus nerve is present. This is the 10th cranial nerve that lies between the internal carotid artery and internal jugular vein. Which side? Posterior medial. This is the posterior side, and medial side because it is lies in the medially to these two vessels. This is the posterior medial location of the vagus nerve. So what we have to say? Laterally टू द कॉमन करोटेड शीथ, इंटरनल जुगुलर वेन. ये हम जो रिपीट कर रहे हैं इस वजह से रिपीट कर रहे हैं क्योंकि बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है ये. और ये है इंटरनल करोटेड आर्टरी जो मीडियली प्रेजेंट है. वैगस नर्व जो प्रेजेंट है वो पोस्टीरियो मीडियली प्रेजेंट है. व्हाट अबाउट द सिंपैथेटिक गैंग्लियन? सिंपैथेटिक गैंग्लियन जो है वो कॉमन करोटेड शीथ के बाहर होता है. और किस साइड होता है? पोस्टीरियो साइड होता है. पोस्टीरियर साइड होता है लेकिन आउटसाइड द कॉमन करोटेड शीथ. तो सिंपैथेटिक गैंग्लियंस में कौन से फाइबर्स होंगे? इसमें असेंडिंग फाइबर्स होंगे. असेंडिंग फाइबर्स ऑफ द सिंपैथेटिक गैंग्लियन के असेंडिंग फाइबर्स ही यहाँ पे सिंपैथेटिक गैंग्लियन बनाएंगे, क्योंकि हम सबको पता है कि जो सिंपैथेटिक जो न्यूरॉन्स होते हैं, मेनली जो लोकेशन होती है सिंपैथेटिक फाइबर्स की, वो कहाँ पर होती है? T1 से L2 तक root of the sympathetic ganglion are present T1 to L2 region, but it is in the neck region. We are talking about the cervical region. So what are the fibers that forming this sympathetic ganglion here? The ascending fibers of the sympathetic ganglion. You all know that the three types of the fibers in the sympathetic ganglion: ascending fiber, descending fiber, and fibers at the same simultaneous location, simultaneous position of the root. This is the structure that is I am showing that it is the left side and right side, both are having the same structures and same side structures are present like that. After that, can these carotid sheath also have the ninth cranial nerve, 11th cranial nerve? Because 10th cranial nerve is this. But is it possible that 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th? Yes, the all four cranial nerves are present inside the carotid sheath. If we are getting the transverse section of upper area of the neck or superior border of the neck, then all three nerves are present. 9th, 10th, and 11th, and also 12th. Where they disappear in the inferior border of the neck? They disappear because they get bifurcated in the different position like this. When they are coming, all the three nerve 9, 10th, and 11 coming out from the internal jugular foramen, while 12th cranial nerve is coming from the hypoglossal canal. So ninth cranial nerve coming this side, and below the mandible of the neck, this is the mandible of the neck, and these are the common carotid sheath. So here ninth cranial nerve below the mandible of the neck going to supply the stylopharyngeus muscle. Here the mandible of the neck of mandible, and below the neck of mandible, this is the common carotid sheath outside, and then the ninth cranial nerve coming inside the carotid sheath and get outside, supply the stylopharyngeus muscle. Then 10th cranial nerve, it get continuous and always lies in the 10th cranial nerve always lies in the common carotid sheath in the whole neck. While 11th cranial nerve have the two parts, cranial part and spinal accessory part. We all know that spinal accessory part supplies the two muscles that are sternocleidomastoid and which one? Sternocleidomastoid and trapezius muscle. These two muscles are supplied by the spinal part of the 11th cranial nerve, and 12th nerve coming this side and goes and supplies the muscles of the tongue, hypoglossal muscles of the tongue, all the intrinsic muscle and extrinsic muscles of the tongue except palatoglossus. So we are just seeing the review of this. This is 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th cranial nerve lies in the carotid sheath. If we get the transverse section of the superior neck area, while here the common carotid artery get bifurcated at the level of the upper border of the larynx of the adult male, where it lies C3 to 6 vertebrae, and where esophagus and trachea start. Actually, esophagus and trachea both are started at the level of C6 below the cricoid cartilage. And if we talk more precisely, that where the beginning of esophagus and trachea start, to measure this in the length, we can measure that from the upper incisor of human, below 15 centimeter, you can find both esophagus and trachea get started, or esophageal hiatus and tracheal hiatus is present. So I wish to suppose that you people have to draw this simple diagram to clear all these things with neurovascular bundle and the muscles with the fascia that are the deep cervical fascia. Thank you.